committee.
Mark Llewellyn-Slade runs Awards Intelligence. He helps people put together nominations for these kind of honours, and he joins us on BBC Radio Stoke this evening. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Stuart.
Can you just explain to us how the awards system actually works?
Yeah, well, there's a department at the Cabinet Office called the Honours and Appointments Secretariat, which is headed up by a guy called Sir Jonathan Stevens. And the Secretariat makes the initial assessment of a nomination and carries out the basic fact checks. And then, once that stage is complete, the nominees are then put forward to one of 9 subcommittees for consideration. For example, if a candidate is nominated for services, say, to medicine, they'd be passed to the Health Committee. A teacher would be passed to the Education Committee, and so on. And those recommendations are then sent to the Prime Minister's office and then on to Buckingham Palace to be rubber stamped. So in a nutshell, that's the process. That's how it happens. We would estimate that around 20,000 nominations are put into the Honours and Appointments Secretariat every year, so a lot of nominations. And sadly, human error is such that I think 1 or 2 do go missing from time to time. And it seems like this is what's happened, unfortunately, with Gordon Banks's.
Are the people who nominate told if they're unsuccessful? Do they get a, sorry, not this time, but feel free to try again letter?
No, they don't. But what they do get is a letter of acknowledgement within usually about 6 weeks of them submitting the nomination. So they'll get a letter back from the Honours Secretariat acknowledging receipt of the nomination and saying it's under consideration. And that letter will also have a unique reference number on it, which will enable the nominator to call up from time to time to get an update as to what's happening with it. And you have to quote that unique reference to prove you are the nominator.
Do some people stay in the system for a long time?
It takes 12 to 18 months on average, but we've had clients who have had to wait 2.5, even 3 years. It is difficult because the Secretariat we estimate, there are no official figures, but around 20,000, as I say. Now, if that department was being run as a business, I'm sure they would have a lot more staff, but it's difficult for the Cabinet Office to justify skilling up the Honours Department when there's a shortage of firefighters, nurses and what have you. So I do feel some sympathy for them, but you've got to run these things properly if you're going to do it at all, I think.
So what's your view on Gordon Banks? Should he have been given a knighthood?
Well, I think honours should be awarded posthumously if the nominee was put forward while they were alive. A year and a half, which is the average waiting period, is a long time, and a lot can change during that time, and unfortunately it's changed for Gordon. So it would be nice to see them awarded posthumously. I don't, however, think it should be, or it would be practical to allow nominations for people who have already passed away, as the Cabinet Office, will no doubt start receiving nominations for grandparents, great-grandparents and so on, and just wouldn't be able to cope with the sheer volume of nominations that they receive. But certainly if they're alive, when the nomination goes in, I think that perhaps they should be awarded posthumously.
Because as my understanding is at the moment that they don't give knighthoods posthumously. They've given one, but that was someone who'd already agreed to accept it before they passed away. Is that something they should be looking at, given the circumstances we've heard and this suggestion that he was being considered for June? Yeah,
I think it's very harsh, and in any situation when you're waiting for like 18 months, maybe 2 years, people are going to pass away from time to time, and it is such a shame. They've worked so hard to get where they are today, and to miss what is a life-changing opportunity for most people through no fault of their own is a tad unfair. So I really would like to see them offered posthumously, yes.
Mark, good to talk to you tonight. Thanks very much for joining.